Welcome back to an episode of PassionPod.
Hey.
I'm Lauren, the Director of Development.
I'm Tosca. I'm the founder and CEO of Passionflix and the director of the Black Dagger Brotherhood.
We have the lovely Kellen Boyle here with us today, who plays Havers on the Black Dagger Brotherhood. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
So how many times on set did we call you Havers?
I feel like it was until about the last day. And then we went, wait a minute.
I think it's Havers.
Yeah. Well, right.
I always thought it was Havers when I was reading it myself.
On the Audibles, it says
Oh,
Havers.
right. Okay.
On the Audibles, it says Havers. And then as we were getting closer to the end of the shoot, I was like, actually, I think that J.R. Ward told me that it was Havers, and I just forgot this entire shoot.
You had one job,
And
Tosca.
then I know. And then I sent her a message, and I said, is it Havers or Havers? And she's like, it's Havers. And I was like, God damn it.
I mean, phonetically, right?
Yeah.
Like how it's spelled.
Yep,
And then hearing it in the audiobook, I was like, it's Havers. Like, we're good. Problem
good.
solved. So much other deep lore to learn about.
Absolutely.
So
but
I'm
I've got
moving
my
on.
name.
Right.
Got my name. I got it.
Whoops.
We were
Just
wrong.
kidding. We were wrong.
Tripped at the starting.
Yeah. But the entire show is now Havers.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
I was like,
we
man,
Havered it up.
We did.
I was like, we're going to have a lot to do in ADR. And then I was like, well, I don't really say my own name all that much.
No.
Everyone else is going to have a lot of ADR.
Yeah.
Great.
All done. Yeah.
Well, and speaking of audiobooks, we briefly got to chatting right before this, and I learned something new about you that I don't think anybody else knows. If you would like to share.
Yes, I also narrate audiobooks. I started about 5 years ago.
Wow.
And it's been something that I've just been kind of constantly doing. A lot of it, a little bit is all over the place, but a lot of it is romance titles.
Really? Which ones have you done?
So
I knew she would get excited about this.
This is going to sound a bit hoity-toity. I've done so many now
can't
at this
remember.
point.
Yeah.
And I have a pseudonym for the spicier ones.
Sure, of course. I'm actually I'm not sure if I want to know because I probably listen to all of them and I'd be like, Dad, I feel really uncomfortable. I know you.
That's where my mom was just like, oh, I heard I have a library card and I can listen to audiobooks now. And I've seen her with some of those like paperbacks before, and I was like, nah, that's too complicated. Just stick to reading. the paperbacks.
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
That's fun. I do want to know a list of them though. We're gonna
We'll have to put that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got. I'm actually doing 2 trilogies right now. One of them is a romance trilogy.
That's really cool.
It's a hockey romance. It's perfectly wedded, perfectly faked, and I am forgetting the title
Do you know
of the
this?
third one right now.
I don't know if I know that one, but I love that.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to briefly talk about how you got into acting, because we were chatting about that a little bit. And I think it's cool how you got into acting, if you don't mind sharing.
Well, I started with theater in college. I had played sports all grown up, and my high school didn't really have like a theater program. So then I went to college and wasn't playing sports and had all this free time.
Right.
And I was like, well, let's try a play. And got bit by the acting bug like immediately. And but that had been my experience solely. I'd never been on a set or anything like that. And I got a job as a TV reporter. That was my major so I was a TV reporter for a couple of years. And then when I quit to pursue acting, I came back, and my first job was actually as a stand-in for a Nickelodeon film called Fun Size with Victoria Justice, Thomas Mann, Johnny Knoxville was in it.
That's hilarious.
Chelsea Handler. Like it was a randomly like very star-studded cast for a Nickelodeon feature film. And the great thing about that was I wasn't an extra that, you're shuffled away to like holding or something like that. Not that there's anything wrong with being an extra, but I was a stand-in, so I was like right there
on set the whole time.
And it was just such a great learning experience of like what a film set is, what the hours are, the terminology, the pace of it, everything.
Hitting your mark.
Hitting your mark is huge.
And
Because as a stand-in, you have to hit your mark.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
They give you sides, like you're the actor, and you have to be familiar with the dialogue and the movement and stuff for them to frame and light everything. And so it was great. From there, the next film that was filming in Cleveland was The Avengers. Way back
in
back
Cleveland?
when. In Cleveland.
I had no idea they filmed there either, but I'm like, wow.
They, with a lot of those like big budget productions, they film a little bit,
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
And so they were there for like 2 weeks, I think. They were shooting that scene with Loki where he tells everyone to like kneel.
Oh, yeah.
Such a good
So
scene.
I'm one of the kneelers. Yeah. They put me in like a $2,500 like Dolce & Gabbana suit.
Shut up.
As an extra.
What?
Yeah. And the wardrobe guy, when they're giving the directions, when like the AD is like, okay, he's going to say kneel, and then you all are going to kneel and you're going to stay there, and yada, yada. The wardrobe guy literally out of like 200 extras, he's like, and he was like running up to me and he's like, your knee doesn't touch the ground. And I was like, okay. And so I'm like trying to like lunge, like this. And literally one of the times Tom Hiddleston's like Loki cape just like hits me in the face.
Oh my God,
like,
I need to rewatch it now to see if I
rags
can see
across
him.
my face. And I'm like, oh God, this is impossible. But
That's amazing.
after that, the person who had recommended me for it kept me on as a day player PA. And I'm just doing crowd control. And, we're filming at night. So it's like 2:30, the bar's closed, big like zombie horde of shufflers come out. And I'm, please walk this way, yada, yada. And then after that, it's back to staring at empty streets. So I'm kind of like, and I see out of the corner of my eye, these two girls walking right through the background of the shot. And I'm like, oh my God, oh no. And I come like running up and I'm trying to be quiet. So I'd like just gently put my hand on her shoulder and I'm like, excuse me, miss, you can't be here. And Scarlett Johansson just turns and I literally go, hey. And she goes, hey. And I'm like, you're good. You can go through. And I was like, oh, we were talking about where, I've always had the approach of like, celebrities are people. Seem like people. But when you're not ready for it, when all of a sudden.
And when it shocks you, you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
You go into default starstruck mode.
Yeah.
But that was me.
Also, she probably was allowed to be there.
She was definitely.
No, she's definitely allowed to be there. But hey, you auto-corrected so fast, so good job.
Yeah.
The second you saw her face, we're like, oh, never mind. I take it back.
You can be here.
You can be here. It's allowed.
I'm not sure I can be here anymore. But you can be here.
But you can be here. There's no worry about that. But I love that. That's such a cool introduction into doing more filming, getting more experience.
Yeah, it was like I said, I teach a little bit as well, and that's something I always tell like new actors and stuff is like obviously any classes that you can take, anything like that. But in terms of because filming is such a collaborative process, and it's such this weird mixture of like art and then logistics, as I know you guys know, that having that opportunity to experience that logistics aspect of what being on set was just such a leaps and bounds advantage when I started auditioning and then booking for, principal roles. And it not being my first time on a set.
Is
you know
helpful.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It was so helpful.
I did that when I started out. So I started out in acting as well, and then I went into theater and stage management. And I was the stage manager for a Shakespearean theater company in Toronto.
Oh, cool.
There's a lot of blood and swords and stuff when you're doing Shakespeare, and when you're stage managing, you're
Any daggers, black ones?
well,
Not
no
broke?
black daggers. But I like just imagine. So you're backstage and you're like, you get the blood bags, and you're like running, and you're trying to keep very, very quiet so that you can have everything, staged at the various parts. But when I started working on film sets, I did the same thing. I worked in every single position. So I was an electric. I was a grip.
Oh, cool.
I worked in props. I worked in set deck. I did scenic painting. Because when you learn every single department, then you really understand the struggles that each department has,
Yes.
or the time frame that they have to work in. So a lot of art department works through the night in order to be ready for the scene the next day. So art they work very different hours than
Yes.
everyone else. And so when you're scenic painting, you're like, I've got to make this place, like we were scenic painting a motel, and motels have this sort of like weird, it had like the wainscoting, wooden wainscoting around it, like really old, seedy motel. And I'm like scenic painting as the crew are arriving on set, and and like just striating, which was like all the stuff that I had learned.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh my God, and they walk on and like blowing to try and make sure it's dry, and then you're like, and go ahead, and then you just like walk off, and you're like, oh, so exhausted. But yeah, I think it's so important that you learn if anybody wants to get into the film world or acting or stage, whatever it is, to learn every position or have the intern in a position work on it, just even a day to understand the pressure that everybody has to make the day actually work.
Yeah.
This actually makes so much sense because I came on in second 88 on the Black Dagger Brotherhood on like the busier cast days. You were my favorite at times because he would show up to the hair and makeup trailer fully dressed in his first scene outfit. and it's not the other guys or girls' fault. Sometimes they can't get dressed first because of how complicated their looks are in makeup, or they have the special effects tattoos to put on. But
I did not envy like the contacts.
Yeah, like, you didn't have to do any of that.
No,
but
I got to show up with a bow tie.
But I appreciated that you came dressed because that was one less step that me as a second had to worry about you going through before I could tell Carlos that you were ready for set. And so that was just like, you were like one of the ones I never really worried about because I was like, we're going to be fine on time for him.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And now I feel like it's because you had that set experience. You're like, I don't want to waste anybody's time.
Well, I am, for lack of a better word, passionate about filmmaking. And one of the reasons I think, because I also draw and stuff like that. I was a drummer and everything. So I've pursued other like art forms.
Yeah.
But what I love most, I think, about filmmaking is that it's a collaboration of different art mediums that, the closest you can probably get to that is, like a mural, you have a bunch of different painters working together on one piece of art, but it's still the same medium. And with this, it's like you just mentioned, the from location managers, like picking the right location to set deck, to the lighting, to the cinematography, to the directing, to the acting, to hair and makeup, to and on and on and on. It's all of these different mediums of art forms coming together to make one piece of art, and it's just an incredible process. And so, as much like you just said as I can know about it, and then like you were just saying, as much as I can be prepared and make those other aspects of the big moving machine easier.
Right. Yeah.
I'm always going to be here for that.
Yeah,
it's
super
also
helpful.
the faster that talent can get ready, just from my side as a director, the faster the talent can get ready and be on set, the more time we have to work with the actors on set.
Exactly.
Because the day does not change. You can only work a certain amount of time. I mean, you can try and go over time, but people get very upset and it's very tiring.
That's fair.
But you have only a certain amount of time during a film day. And so if actors are spending 3 hours in hair and makeup, well, we only have 3 hours left to work with you in all of your scenes.
Yeah.
But if you spend 2 hours, then I have 4 hours. If you spend 1 hour, then I have 5 hours. And that just really, that's what really adds to the overall picture, right?
Yeah.
We have to have time on set. Everybody's
Absolutely.
working really tirelessly to get everything prepared so that we can film the actors on set.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
That is a funny, like all of that production is just for that like action moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Isn't that
And
crazy?
Yeah.
Well, now I
And it's
feel
like,
pressure
and
to
action.
perform.
Yeah, exactly. And action. And that's a 5-minute scene. Okay, we're done.
Yeah.
Everyone's worked like 24 hours to get everybody to and action, and we're done. Okay, great.
He went that way. Scene.
And so,
All right.
so
Let's
speaking
do it again, but let's do it with a little bit more urgency.
Yeah. Yeah. Confusion? He went that way?
Well, and speaking of pressure, well, hopefully it's not pressure, but tell us a bit about your first impressions of like the world of Black Dagger Brotherhood. Like
wow.
How did you, when you first, I know you first auditioned, but what was your first impression of the fandom overall? Yeah.
Well, a lot of this industry is, you're auditioning for a film, and maybe the film is based off of an IP or a TV show. It's season 1 of a TV show. It might be an original idea, or it might be based off of something. But I would say, like, usually there is a lot less, I guess, to pull from. Where with Black Dagger, how many books are there now at this?
22?
22, probably even more than that.
24
I feel like
maybe?
I've lost count, even though it's my job to keep count.
I feel like I remember seeing 22, but like you just said, there might be other additional
Because there
spinoffs.
are spin-offs and there's like the 0.5s and things like that. Yeah.
It's such
Right.
a deep world
Yeah.
that JR created and the fans have consumed, and they're so passionate about it and stuff. So like you want to get it right. And there was definitely a level of how do I how do I do the research and be as informed as possible, but then at the same time also bring something to this, you know what I mean? So that it's not just like a copy paste, like what am I bringing to this? How do I see Havers and this world and this universe and everything?
Did you read the book before your audition?
Not before the audition. Yeah. I did do some research on like some of the fan sites and Wikipedia page and stuff like that, and try to just research Havers in general. But between from audition, when you get it to when it's due, didn't have time to read the whole book.
Fair.
So just tried to like find some of those spots.
Yeah.
I did read the book before we started shooting.
That's good. No, because
We
your
appreciate
audition was excellent.
Oh,
like
thank you.
really.
Yeah. Oh my God,
Like
so
we watched
good.
it and we're like, and Havers.
Yeah, that's who we.
But actually,
that's who
sorry,
it is.
and Havers.
Havers. That's what we were saying at the time.
What I love so much about horror, sci-fi, fantasy genres are you can play with a little bit more of just being able to lean in, right? Like I can't, at this point, I can't remember every detail from my audition now, but I think I remember like I gave myself like a cane and like an ascot.
And you had glasses. You wore
glasses.
stuff.
You were
Yeah.
dark, and you were like,
I was like, I'm dying,
you're like,
yeah.
you're playing like the you know when you see Marissa.
Yeah, oh, yes.
And so I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he's all lit well. He's wearing the outfit. He's got glasses. This is great.
Yeah.
Just take this and put it in the show.
Yeah.
Well, it was like with theater, right? You have a little bit more leeway where, you know, you can play someone older or younger or whatever. And with film, usually it's a lot more stringent. But then with vampires, it's like you can have someone hundreds of years old and a little bit more withered, but they're still looking relatively youthful. And, you know, I like those kind of opportunities.
Yeah, it was fun.
100%. So it was such a fun audition.
Yeah.
So what drew you to the character of Havers when you first started training for, like, studying for the role?
I really loved how tragic his story is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a nerd in the purest sense of the word. I am curious about everything, so I find everything interesting. But one of the things I nerded out about when I was younger was like mythology,
nice.
Greek mythology, Norse mythology, the Ramayana, Gilgamesh, everything. So I mean, so many of those characters. It's just these horribly like complicated, tragic stories, triumph in spite of it or not, you know. And it Havers really related to those narratives that I fell in love with when I was younger to me. In the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, you have so many strong, confident, capable characters. And I liked the opportunity to see a character that was none of those things, but still existed in that universe. And it's in the entire like vampire society, he's the only doctor.
Yeah.
He's the only one, and he's nobility, too. So I was like, what is driving this person to do that? You know what I mean? Like, you talk about you could literally like kick back and do whatever you want, and he's choosing to help people, you know. And but then is doing such crazy stuff in the book where I'm like, who is this person? You know, like what is making him tick? And then it was complicated. I was trying to do as much research as I could to be informed of his past,
Right.
so that I, coming into him, would have experienced and been knowledgeable on what had happened to him up to that point, without getting spoilers for the future, because I'm trying not to have as much of that like influence or kind of spoil my performance as I go. So I'm trying to do.
I was going to ask if you read more than Dark Lover, or if you.
I have just started the second book in anticipation for a second season, and that's kind of going to be my plan moving forward. I have done research, like I said, where certain things like his backstory, like why is someone like that, and so I see, like you said, that overprotectiveness, that overbearing, that to an extent cruelty, right? To someone that he's claiming to love. And why would somebody do that? And all I can think then about is his tragedy of losing his Kellen
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, who is Havers before then? You know, and maybe he didn't hold on so tight and he lost her. And maybe that's something that he, you know, struggles with now because Marissa's all he's got left, you know?
Yeah.
And so when he sees her doing these things that he might consider reckless or dangerous, that fear of then losing what family he has left overrides, you know, the, let's just say like pleasantries, you know, or like those expectations. So again, it's not to excuse the actions, but just trying to figure out why, like you just said, would somebody treat their sister that way?
Yeah.
You know? And that to me is what I find very interesting about Havers is I think at his root, he's a good person, a good soul who has experienced terrible loss, tragedy and trauma, and is lost as a result of it. You know, he's lost as a result of his loss.
And everything that he does, he believes it's
so well spoken
really
about it all. Oh my God.
Yeah. But everything that he does, he believes he's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And you can see it from his perspective, you know, and he does sort of get manipulated into certain things because of his constant belief that he's doing the right thing.
Yeah. Well, that's another nerd area for me is Star Wars. Their whole thing is like the Sith are always so like mutilated and stuff like that. It's meant to be an outward manifestation of the inner turmoil that they're going through. And I'm literally, you know, for Havers that inner turmoil does find its way, you know what I mean, out into his physical appearance as well. So I thought that was a really cool journey for him.
Yeah. Were there any aspects of Havers that you personally resonated with?
There are a couple of things. I mean, I you know, even though we're talking about, you know, hundreds of year-old vampires, like there's a lot of human relatability. Like I mentioned, you know, he's someone who's experienced loss and it's affected him. You know, I myself just am very happy with the person that I am, but I look at the person that I was, you know, decades ago, and they do feel like different people, you know, and the one is a result of the experiences of life that have happened to him along the way, and it changes you. There's a couple movies I had to stop watching, and because I got like physically ill, and one of them, one of them was Zodiac. It's a great film, but there's one scene in particular I can't get past.
It's a hard no.
And then there's this movie 28 Weeks Later. It's the sequel to 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
It's
also no.
It's a no, right?
Yeah.
It's the opening sequence. Spoilers, if you haven't watched 28 Weeks Later, fast forward, I don't know, like 30 seconds. There's a guy with his partner, and it seems like, I can't tell if it's like their kid or maybe just like an adopted kid, because you know, it's like post-apocalyptic sort of thing. And they seem very connected, very close, very much in love. And I don't know what you call their zombie versions in that film. Like,
I can't remember, but yeah.
But they break in basically, and so chaos ensues, and it kind of becomes one of those like every man for yourself. Like everyone's kind of running wherever. And there's a moment where they run down a hallway, and I can't remember. Like she goes left, he goes right, kind of thing. And she was supposed to go right. Like that was like their escape route, and she went left instead. And one of those things like comes up, and there's this like split second where they make eye contact with each other, and he runs.
He has to. He would have died.
I got like physically sick.
Jesus.
Like I have goosebumps right now still talking about it, because it was one of those where it would be so easy to just judge, but I was like, I would be so certain that I would never do that. But then I think, so was he.
Yeah.
And then he did.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, you don't know how your experience is, or like when that push come to shove moment happens, like you don't know how you're going to act until it happens, and you do.
Right.
The bringing it back home part was just for Havers. He has experienced, you know, incalculable loss and trauma, and it has affected him. And where, you know, it could be easy as just as an observer to judge him when you have to play him and embody him. I have to think about how that changes him in the same way like experiences have changed me. So I try to empathize and try to understand. And I think that helped connect. And then I mentioned before, like him choosing to be a doctor and like the only one in this vampire society. I was like, that's there's something like admirable and like truly noble about him, but it's just, mucked in all of this experience. And we're not all our best selves every day, all the time.
Right.
So I can
Speak
relate.
for yourself.
She's glowing.
But you're completely right that Havers is a really good representation of that, especially in this series.
Yeah.
And I know, and you talked about this briefly before, just him being part of the society as a whole, even though he's not a brother. But how does he view the Brotherhood?
So I've interpreted it as he sees them as a necessary evil, in his perfect world. I mean, again, he's dedicated his immortal life to healing, so the idea of a group of badass kick-ass assassins, while cool, that's probably like everything that he's against.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of more how he views them as something that is necessary, but something he is strongly against.
And so the relationship with Marissa is pretty central to who Havers is and how he acts. How did you approach portraying the complicated sibling bond? And if you could talk a little bit about their connection and what working with Victory was like.
Oh, working with Victory was incredible. She's a real life princess.
She really is.
She really is.
So glamorous.
And effortless, right? And so sweet and kind. And I mentioned before, like how I'm like curious about everything. She's curious about everyone.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
In the best way possible. I would feel like I was being interviewed by her. You know what I mean? Like she was always so interested, and then again, so kind and generous and stuff. So yeah, she was fantastic, and it really did not take much, if any, acting to play as a sibling,
Nice.
who cares for his sister there.
Protective sibling, yeah.
That's really sweet.
For season 1, it was she's all that he has left,
Right.
And then he sees her being through his lens used and abused by, again, this assassin, as he would describe him.
Right.
At some point, there are only like so many affronts, I guess, he can take. And
Absolutely.
he cares so strongly about her. And to see her treated in such a way, I think it's a descent into madness, because the circumstances are maddening.
In theory, so she was promised to Wrath. He was supposed to ascend the throne, and she was supposed to be queen. That would have been her life.
Yeah.
And then that's great. So he should have become the king, and she would have become the queen. And then he never made that happen. So she was.
But that conflict makes the story interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Did you feel any pressure portraying such a character that's part of such a very passionate fan base?
From the first post with the official announcement, from there to today, just the outpouring of support, opinions, excitement, and I can't thank honestly the fans enough, because it's predominantly been such an outpouring of like love and support, and it feels super special, to get to portray this character, be a part of this world, help tell this story. I'm excited more than anything.
Yeah, I'm terrified. Terrified. Every single time I have the same, every time we take one of these books and we turn them into a movie or a series, I'm literally having panic attacks going, what if they don't like it? What if it's not how they pictured it in their head? And it's not possible.
Yeah.
Like I had this when we were filming Gabriel's Inferno Part 1, and on the first day of filming, I'm sitting there and I was so scared the whole time going, you will do this right. It will be, the hand will be here. Like I was like kindly, of course, with Julia and Melanie. But I was like in my head going, I have to say these, because the very first thing I shot for the Gabriel's Inferno series was Julia and Gabriel in the orchard when she was a teenager.
Yeah.
And so I had to shoot that first because we had to change their look for the rest of the entire show, even though it's a flashback that happens later on. So I shot that first and I was like, this flashback better be perfect.
It's so important.
The entire series is based on this flashback.
Yep.
And I was very stressed. And then it went out when people like it. So thank God.
Yeah.
That's got to be such a good feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When
I know.
on the after part.
On the after part, it was terrifying. But the same thing happened to me on the Black Dagger Brotherhood. So I'm watching and everything, like you'll see me, I'm looking at this going, everything is based on this shot. And I'm looking at the shot, like scrutinizing every hair going, the whole thing. If the shot's not perfect, then they're going to hate the whole series. And I'm like so stressed over it.
Oh, man.
Every single one. And so then, and it's very kind, you know, we have an incredible team at Passionflix, and Margie, who's our head of creative post. And so she'll be like, Tosca, I think the shot's fine. I'm like, it has to be perfect. It has to be perfect. My whole company's going to die if the shot's not perfect. And she's like, okay, well, let's have a look at it again then. But I think it's perfect, but let's have a look at it again. And then we'll go through it. And she goes, okay, maybe one hair could change and the place here, and we'll cut one frame here. And how does that feel? I was like, I don't know. I think it feels good. Yes. Okay, that feels better.
Well, and that's
like literally so stressed.
and that's, you know, we were talking about that collaborative artistic process too, right? It's there's the movie you shoot, the movie you edit, right? And
the movie that's in your head.
and the movie that's in your head.
Exactly.
And what I find so incredible about Passionflix in general is that any art is meant to be, you know, interpreted.
Right.
But the challenge is you have such a passionate fan base that has this interpretation of the book and wants it to be this. And so you're trying
And it's unique to each of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then you're trying to match your interpretation with the uniqueness of each of their interpretations and come with something that represents as close to the book as possible while still being now its own thing in its own medium.
Yep.
Right.
It's an incredible challenge. Heavy lays the crown. So I'm happy to just show up with a bow tie and horn rim glasses and say my lines.
But to switch to something a little more lighthearted, do you have a favorite scene that you shot and why it was your favorite?
Is it cheating if I say there's two?
No,
Go ahead.
cheating.
Okay. All right. Really anything with Victory was really so much fun.
Yeah.
There's a scene where we're both on different sides of a door having a conversation.
So good.
So good.
And that one, I think that was like end of our day. And it was it was all Victory and I for like 2 or 3 days.
Yep.
Like pumping out all of these scenes. And, you know, we're jumping all over the timeline of the story and stuff. And so I think that was like end of the day. And it was a very like emotionally demanding scene, a very important scene. And again, like you're dealing with the challenge of you've got the door in between you. So you're not able to be as connected, but you have to be super connected. And again, Victory and y'all just made it so easy. So that would be one.
That's a good one.
I actually just have, so you know what I'm just realizing now, because we did ADR with Robert Master and he did a scene with Victory, Marissa and Raph have a scene together, and they weren't facing each other. I had them not facing each, or he can't see her face. And So I actually just realized that I did that almost entirely with Victory. She never, Marissa, she never looks at anybody and never acts. The character, Marissa, never acts face-to-face with anybody except for Butch.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
Well,
except for one fight that you guys have. But even then your backs, even then your back's towards her and then it turns.
Yes.
So
I'm reluctant to look at her.
Yeah.
But it was very interesting. I never have her, she's always her back's towards you, her back's towards Wrath, their backs towards her. Like there's no looking at each other until Butch. And then it's only looking at each other.
Well, and that it becomes more powerful then,
Yeah.
right? As a
That
result.
is more powerful.
And it's so funny too. It just makes me think, like we talked a second ago about like how protective Havers is of his sister and how much he's doing it out of love and or he thinks, right? But to the point that you just made, like outside of when we're fighting, we're not even looking at each other. How abandoned does Marissa have to feel?
Yeah.
You know, as a
Right.
character
Yeah.
by everyone then, like
Yeah.
by Wrath, but then even by her own brother who constantly tells her how much he cares for her. You see it in the physical manifestation of us not really even looking at each other all that much,
Right.
in addition to then the actions that he's taking. And so, you know, it's a good life lesson for everyone, like to remove your blinders, you know what I mean? And try to have as much of an outside perspective as you can on yourself. But it's
Look
funny.
at each other.
I know.
Yeah, we could
Connect. It's funny you mentioned Butch because I would say that was probably my second favorite scene. The last couple of days we had a filming where pretty much the whole team, like the whole Brotherhood, everybody was there.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. It was such a different energy.
Yeah.
And obviously those guys, by the way, you guys did an amazing job casting. I mean,
you.
one guy in particular, you guys did an amazing job casting, not just people that are great for the part and
Right.
great actors, but also really great people.
So wonderful.
We've gotten so lucky with
Yeah.
just having amazing people on all of our. Yeah.
I was just constantly blown away of just the immediacy with which, like, warmth, friendliness, acceptance, everything from everyone. It was just incredible. But so those were some fun days of shooting there at the end. One moment in particular, it's a pretty intense scene. It's just come off of a pretty intense moment. And I have to look at the brothers. I have to look at Marissa. I have to look at Butch. And as I'm looking at everyone, Michael, who played Butch, such a goofball, is just making the most obscene, ridiculous faces and gestures
I didn't know he did that to you.
And he did it every take.
No.
God.
And I had to just, but what was brilliant,
Oh my God, that's amazing.
outside of just Michael trying to have fun, what was brilliant about it was for Havers, he does have such either like irrelevance or disdain, you know what I mean? For Butch, that like outside of what, like trying not to laugh, but then like that annoyance and that like this guy, you know, it came through very naturally.
Yeah.
As a result. So I thought that was really funny and fun
Yeah.
That is really funny.
and ridiculous.
Michael has been part of the Passionflix family for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great.
It was nice that we were able to bring him onto this project because
Yeah.
at first we were like, oh, he can help everybody else understand how it all goes. Like, 'cause we have set visits with fans who come on and stuff like that. And yeah.
Yeah. You get
But
to experience all of the fans at the premiere.
That was, well, I got to on that, that one day as well. And that was such a cool day. It was such a busy day. So I never got to say like as much or see them as much, but that, and obviously they were so excited to see the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
So I felt like a +1 sometimes, but I'm just,
That's okay.
Well, and this episode,
The brothers. Plus Havers.
But so we're all excited for the premiere that's happening.
Yes.
Are you looking forward to getting to watch the first episode with fans of the show? Like that's going to be such a unique experience.
Yes, so much so. I had the benefit of already having a version of this experience when I was at my wife's premiere for The Air He Breathes, and we had a room full of Passionistas there as well. And it was so cool. You could feel the energy in the room.
Yeah.
So this will be a little different because it will be a project that I'm involved in, but I imagine it will be just the same, if not even more like rampant in terms of that energy, that excitement. You know, you can, if you've been to, you know, like live sporting events or music concerts, you know, you can, that energy is palpable. And that's what the theater feels like with everyone in there. So yeah, I'm super excited. And just based off of what I've seen from the trailer, I know this first episode is going to be incredible.
And so should we, so this is like an excellent opportunity and a segue maybe to invite your wife to join us on this podcast.
Sounds perfect to me.
You can never, ever leave me again.
Well, actually, I just came in to see if you were hiring.
Of course we are. Hey, you, Sam. You're fired.
Faye, you're not fired.
We always have room for you. It just might be part-time.
Or we could fire Sam. He already has another job. Plus, he's creepy.
We are not firing Sam.
You are no fun. But do you know what is? Breakfast break!
30 minutes.
Back in an hour. Sam will cover me. Hey, you, Sam. You're no longer fired.
So we have the lovely Jessica Craig with us. People may recognize you from The Air He Breathes, where you played Faye, the amazing bestie in that movie. And for people who don't know, you guys are married in real life.
We are.
I know that. I think it's so awesome. By the way, you had the best wedding.
Oh.
I saw everything on Instagram. I was like, this looks amazing.
It was so incredible.
Yeah.
It was an incredible day. You know that.
I love your dance.
Thank you.
Your dancing. I watched all the dancing.
We
I was
did.
like,
We watched-
this is amazing.
I was
this
going
is
through-
like really awesome. I'm like, what a brilliant way to like prepare for we're gonna dance.
I follow both of you, so I was going through all your stories that you were reposting around that time, and it was a lot of people shared your dance, and I was like, "It's so good."
Yeah.
So we could have a Havers dance scene.
Yeah.
There you go.
But so
Hand
this
that
is so we were at the Air He Breathes premiere last year, and we hadn't announced any of the cast for Black Dagger Brotherhood yet. I think that we'd actually even just pinned you. We hadn't.
Yes.
We'd pinned everybody, but we hadn't like officially. We hadn't announced anything. Everything's so hush hush, and we're at the premiere, and Kellen walks in, and I was like, "Oh God, oh God, what happened? How?" And I was like.
How does he know?
And we hadn't even actually met.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hello.
Well, and now I want to pause you real quick. Kellen, why don't you tell your version of how you guys met?
Well, so we're out for the premiere, and it's Jessica's day.
Yeah.
And
So good.
I had been pinned, like you said, and my agent had even said that production wanted to communicate that like they really like you for this role, but there's like logistic things. But I've also been in the business long enough where pins have fallen through, productions have fallen through, So I also like not getting my hopes up kind of thing. And like you said, we'd never met. So I was like, I'm just the plus one today. Like, and my intention was to just be like, hi, I'm Kellen, and it's nice to meet you. Right. And I walk up and shake your hand and I go, hi, I'm Kellen. And you go, you're our Havers. And I go, oh, awesome. That's great news. I was like, wait, do I tell Jess? I don't want to like detract from her day right now. And I was like, but this is really exciting. That's really good news. And then with the Passionistas afterwards too, so many of them were like, oh, are you an actor? And I was like, yeah, I am. And they're like, are you in anything? And I was like, I'm in a couple stuff. They're like, do you have anything coming up that you're doing? And I'm like, some things you might maybe have heard of or enjoyed, but you'll find out. I think you'll find out. Yeah. Just like having to keep that quiet all night was.
I think I was like, oh my God, Havers just walked in. Like, my worlds are colliding. Yeah. But yes, let's talk about The Air He Breathes. What a fantastic movie. Tell us about that experience.
That was
Oh my
so
gosh.
awesome.
It's hard to believe it was already a year ago.
Yeah.
It was
a year ago. I know.
It was so fun. I mean, and I don't think we met until
the
premiere either. So it was great. It's one of those experiences where you go to work on a film and you do your job to prepare, do the work. That's the priority, right? And I think I walked onto set and I just wasn't expecting to have everything else that came with it. It was such a beautiful experience with working with our cast, our crew. There were tons of things going on and on the scene and then even behind the scenes. You know what it's like filmmaking. Yeah. There's hurdles you come across. And it was just really wonderful to see how many talented people were working on that and making it all come together. And I didn't expect to become such good friends with. I'm still friends with Kelsey.
Oh, that's
by the way.
amazing. I love that.
We hang out.
Yeah.
She was in Atlanta recently. I've been out to LA.
Yeah.
I
It was
really like
beautiful.
that.
Obviously, we all love Brittany. the author.
Yeah.
I didn't
obsessed
expect
with
to
Brittany.
become close with her, and we're still very connected.
Oh, that's so
which is really
nice.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, really love that. I mean, how many
She's
times
wonderful.
to get that?
Yeah. So wonderful.
Gem. And then obviously, we all remember Charlotte.
Oh, Charlotte was so cute.
Yeah.
She was so sweet.
Yeah.
Stole the
Yeah.
Actually, funny enough, I was going through my drawer getting ready.
Oh, and you
I
found
found
the
this little bracelet that she made for a lot of
forgot she
people
did
on
that.
set. It says,
Show took
Faye. Okay, well, it's a little bit tarnished. It's been since last year, but it says, Faye loves Emma. And I do love Emma a lot. Yeah,
That
she was awesome.
So cute. She was adorable. I am going to jump into talking more about you guys as a couple, though, because we would love to have you on as a guest solo on the podcast. That would be fun.
Yes,
we can dive
so
even
fun.
deeper into the
Yes,
air he breathes.
Cool. Yeah.
But I just love that my favorite part about the two of you is the fact that you're now both in different PassionFlix content, but you're together in real life. Like you're our first
I
couple
love it.
in the PassionFlix family. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so cool.
That
It's
is
so
cool.
crazy.
How did you guys meet?
I feel like you should take it. We met.
I've talked so much. All right.
I know, you're a great talker,
I was like,
though.
people want to hear you.
Is it? It's. I feel like it's not as exciting of a story as to us. You know what I
think
mean?
it is. I think it
We
is.
met in acting class.
Yeah, we met in acting class.
Did you do a scene together?
We did. We did so many. So many. We did so many scenes together and exercises. And what's funny is, you know, some romances, right? It's like love at first sight. And not that we didn't care about each other, but we saw each other as like talented individuals, right? And in a way, like coworkers, definitely classmates. And it was the respect was there from the start. And then it was something that, like, as we got to know each other more, and it was actually, I had a commercial opportunity where the actress fell through, and production randomly reached out to me and was like, do you know of any talented actresses? And I'm like, oh, heck yeah, I do. I can think of one in particular. And so I asked her to join me on that project. And it was, we had to drive to and from set, which was, it was like an hour and a half drive or something. And so we got to like talking and stuff a little bit more on those drives. And,
That's so sweet.
and our birthdays are relatively close together. So I would say the two big tentpole moments for us were our birthdays.
Yeah.
Aw.
Jess finished up class on her birthday, and I asked her what she was doing, and she said, well, some of my friends that were up here, like, plans fell through, so I think
I
I'm
love
just...
my birthday. Not a lot of people.
Fair. Not everybody does. Yeah.
I love my birthday.
I like it, but
I love my, I love my birthday.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. All of my friends hanging out and doing something with me, that's great.
That is
day.
nice.
Yeah.
Yay.
Can this be every day?
Yeah.
But so Jess was like, some of my plans with my friends fell through, so I think I'm just going to go home. And I was like, what? It's your birthday. Like, no, we gotta go out. We gotta do something. And she's like, well, I have a friend down in, this is up in Cleveland, Ohio. We have a friend down in Akron. It's like a 45-hour drive. That said, you know, we could hit up some spots or something. And I'm like, we're going, you know? And so kind of like that was a little moment where I would say we started to become more than classmates. And then not long after my birthday, we finished up shooting on that project. And I remember we went to a little bar afterwards to celebrate. And while we were talking, I just remember feeling like this connection.
Like something's different.
Yeah.
It's not feeling like just
Yeah.
like class
Oh
anymore.
my God. I'm
Yeah.
dying.
And kissed you by the Kino machine.
It's like
Not
a little romance
Stop, I'm
novel.
obsessed. I'm
It's
obsessed.
so cute.
I wanted to. We
adorable.
couldn't logistically make it happen, but I wanted a Kino machine at our wedding.
Aw, that would have been
As a
really
little-
cute.
I thought about
Homage.
Good old fashioned
building
gambling.
one. Yeah.
Love it.
Oh my
I will
gosh.
say it's so funny. I'm going to connect this too because I don't think I realized this till just recently. With your character you're playing now, not Havers, Kellen, I didn't realize. I do know this now, but I didn't realize at the time because you know he's a part of this big series. It's very fantasy. There's vampires. There's dragon involved. and I know Kellen was playing a vampire. So I was like, okay, great. And then I get to see some of his photos, and he's wearing these glasses, big wide glasses, and he's a doctor, and he's kind of like nerdy. And I was like, I don't think many people know this, but when I first met Kellen, he wore these wide rimmed glasses.
Yes.
No way.
He was kind of nerdy, like had longer curly hair.
Yep.
That's
I was like, is
hilarious.
this kind of like a callback to Kellen 2015?
Oh my gosh.
That was I got LASIK, but before LASIK, I had stigmatism. I was actually legally blind, so I had some
my
big
gosh.
old horn rim bottle glasses on me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I loved it.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
She was like, "Okay, it's
I was like,
doing
did
it
you
for
wear your
me."
old glasses for the show? It kind of looks like that.
We did for the audition. That was
you did?
I couldn't see anything because my eyes have changed. So then now I've got these things
Yeah.
on, and I couldn't see anything for him.
No, he was legally. I don't want to be insensitive to people who are actually legally blind, but you were very close to legally blind.
Yeah.
I mean, I put on your glasses and I would have an instant headache. Like,
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. Good thing you got LASIK.
Yeah.
I'm glad it worked. Well, and we touched briefly on your wedding, but I want to hear more about it. Mostly because I saw, amongst all the posts about it, I saw really cute posters of you guys where you were the couples in like classic rom-coms.
Yeah.
And I can't get over how cute that was.
Yeah.
that was such a good idea, and I will give that credit to Kellen.
Oh, nice. Good job, Kellen.
She had like 900 great ideas. That one was mine.
There you go.
He stood his ground, and I'm very glad he did. That was so fun. Yeah, we just got to work with a friend with a camera, green screen, and we decided, like, let's not like reinvent the wheel too much. We're going to come in one outfit, but we have these 5 different movies we want to.
Yeah, we just broke it up to like genres that we
that's
wanted to
cute.
do.
Yeah, because there was an action one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there was an action one. Oh, yeah, I love
Like
that.
everything was like explosion
Boys.
in the background.
Yeah, Bad Boys.
That was Bad
I was
Boys.
like,
so
that
good.
was so
We
good.
called it First Dance. Yeah, because it was lit. Because our first dance was lit.
Exactly.
Your first dance was so good.
Well, that was her. We again, that was probably one of my favorite parts about our wedding was that the only way it was possible was by our community coming together.
Yeah. Oh,
and
I
so
love
it
that.
just made like the love that we felt on that day even more impactful. Yeah, and special because the proof was physical. The love everyone had for us.
From the dance, from the food. We had friends who were in the film community who contributed to making our grazing board, to
Bartending to the fire
bartending,
dance.
to helping
Choreographing our dance was Mary and
our fire dancers.
the fire dancers.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Set up
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. Your Instagram reels were really, really, I was like, basically, like, what happened next? And then I was like watching them all. But your dance was fantastic.
Stunning.
And I studied ballroom dance when I was younger. And so just watching it, I was like, this is so great. And I wish that more couples would do that because it's like not just your first dance of like, and we're here and we're just listening to our song and we're having that dance and then other people join, which is great. And it's traditional and I think it's fun. But it's very beautiful because you have an intimate moment together with everyone watching you having that intimate moment. But the fact that you actually rehearsed over and over, there's no way that dance was not rehearsed and choreographed a lot.
It was.
Like
Until the week of,
We finished the choreography on Tuesday. The wedding was on Friday.
oh my God,
goodness.
So we were like
rehearse.
again and again
Yeah,
and again.
hats off to our choreographer,
Yeah.
Mary Tabor.
Nice.
She's an actor, but also does wedding dance choreography.
Oh,
that's
And
amazing.
so we came to her with like the ideas and the concept. We're like, we know we want to do this, but help us execute that, please.
Yeah.
And she's great.
Yeah.
It was fun, and it was what we said was we're performers. We want to put on a performance.
Yeah.
And so that was
And that was it.
That fits so
But
well.
so perfect. It was really beautifully done. Yeah.
yeah.
thank you.
I'm just obsessed with the both of you guys.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you guys are
Oh,
part of the Passion
that
Flix
was awkward.
family. But so to start to wrap it up just a little bit, Tosca actually has a rapid fire question game for Kellen specifically, but I thought it'd be fun if
I think Jessica
Jess
should do it
could-
too.
yeah, jump in.
Okay. I'm gonna go with your character first, and then I'm gonna go with your character.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Oh, the character rapid.
On the fly?
Okay, let me
We'll
lock
see.
in. Let me
Okay,
lock,
ready? Lock into your characters, guys.
locked in.
One word to describe Haver /Faye. Go.
Chaotic.
Complicated.
Few words, very nice.
One word to describe you.
Awkward.
Complicated.
Oh my God, I love you guys.
Who has the best style in the Brotherhood?
Ooh, Victory.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'll take that.
All right. Zadist.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Both of you guys. What's your go-to snack in between takes?
Flaming hot Cheetos.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, you're my favorite person in the world.
Wait, second.
My son and I
that
eat.
yours?
Yes, love them. Oh my God. I love it with lime as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, those
so
are
good.
Our place is a graveyard of flaming hot Cheeto bags.
My bridesmaids actually got me a bag of Flaming Hots for it was a bride tote bag.
Oh my God, Steph, that's amazing.
Know me well.
Yeah, they do know you
Good
well.
ones. All right.
Reese's.
Okay.
Anything peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah.
Buckeyes,
Yes,
doesn't
yes.
matter.
Yeah, good one. All right. If your characters had a secret playlist, what artist would appear most?
Ooh. Dua Lipa.
Okay,
yeah.
I can see it. Yep.
Okay. All right. Havers, I feel like it would be like a composer.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah, I agree. Like a
Mozart's maybe the
Beethoven.
cop out,
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah.
like a Mozart or a Beethoven
Yeah.
or something like that, I think.
If you could turn into a vampire tonight, what's the first thing you'd do?
Oh.
Oh.
What was that devious smile that just popped out of your face?
I would steal somebody's oh God, I'm so uncreative. Steal somebody's car.
Oh,
Steal a car. Interesting.
you don't have to be a vampire to do this. Wait, there's 3 cars outside right now. You can steal one. I would move to New Orleans.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a good, you
With your
blend
wife.
in and it's a good vibe.
It is. It is good vampire town. If you could give Havers one piece of advice, what would it be?
Let go of what you love and learn to trust.
All right. Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you so much, guys,
Awesome.
for being on
Yeah.
Passion Pod with us.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was great to have you guys. And don't forget to subscribe and watch and listen wherever podcasts are available. And we're also on YouTube. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them on the video or on the podcast sites as well. And we have an info email, info@passionflix.com. And also our phone number will be on screen. And we'd love to hear any of your feedback or comments and questions. And
More
see you
Havers.
next time. More.
More Faye.
And see you next time. Thank you guys again. It was so great.
Thank you guys so much for having us. This was so much fun.
It was so much fun.
So exciting to get to see you guys again.
Yeah.
It was great.
I get to see you for many, many, many years.
Yes.
hopefully. Fingers crossed, guys.
Right, exactly.
I can't wait.
Bye.